There were so many calls. I mean, Michael Farfan gets a yellow card in the first half and takes a hand shove as he's trying to track down the ball and gets a yellow for it. So, I mean, there's not just one play, Forget that we should have had a penalty kick on the clearest handball you can see on video, all right? I hope you guys saw it too. But, I mean, there's so many little plays in that game. And it's not, it wasn't against us necessarily. It was just bizarre. It can't happen in this league. Again, I'll get what's coming to me, but I make a bold statement and say that is not allowed. That should not be allowed. And that guy's come here before and done the exact same thing.
With Jeff coming off just before halftime, how would you assess the way the defense kind of rallied around after?
Great response. Really good. But then we let up and we let the second one in. You worked so hard to get back in that game, and we worked, we put a lot of energy out to get back in that game. Should have been back at halftime for sure. And we're down a goal. Get two back in the second half. Do all the right things. Should have gotten a third. Our fault for giving up that second one for sure.
John, Danny Cruz has taken some criticism this year from a lot of quarters that came out guns blazing early in the second half, scored twice. Did you say anything in particular at halftime, or did he say anything that made it seem like he really wanted to step up like that?
We talked about the fact that we just had to come out with as much urgency and as much pressure and as much, we were playing good at the end of the first half. We had put a lot of balls into the box, but execution was really poor. And I said to the guys that there's nothing I can say as a coach to get you to execute a skill that you guys are all really good at. But I can get you to play harder, and you got to just keep going. You got to keep your foot on the gas and know that it's coming and believe in it. And thank goodness it did. And for Danny, it was especially pleasing because he probably has been under the microscope a little bit and been criticized for some missed chances, and for sure he takes two great chances there. So really happy for him.
Coach, how does it change the strategy at the end with fewer players on the field from both sides?
I mean, it changes everything. It was you have to make major adjustments anytime a red card is given. But when two red cards are given and you're making some subs, it's very difficult. But to be fair, I think we made the right ones. I don't want to keep beating the dead horse with this, but I don't know how there's 3 minutes of injury time. It looked like it took 3 minutes for him to decide to give the first red cards alone. There were 3 goals scored. I think there's 6 subs. So a lot of those little decisions. I'll try not to talk about it the rest of the press conference, but.
John, all instances aside, you talked about making PPL Park a fortress, and would you look at this result and say the points were dropped at home similar to the Toronto game, or is that all out of the picture?
No, I think the points were dropped, but I don't think that's as much our fault as it was the I want to say it again, although I'm probably already fine, so whatever.
John, Gabe Farfan today did a lot of really good things when he came in, and he's a guy who's in ways hasn't been able to get on the field because other guys have done well in those positions. But talk about his performance and whether that made a statement you might see a little more.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Gabe. He continues to work hard. He's a guy that I trust immensely on a personal and professional level. And he's a really good player, and he's competing right now with his brother for playing time, and but when called upon today, he did his job and he did it very well.
John, you made that sub for McInerney at the end there. You said 3 goals late that have all factored into a result. Did you see something that made you take him off, or was that just a judgment?
No, Jack had emptied the tank. I mean, he had done so much work. We tried to put Antoine on and put Jack at right mid, but he just didn't have anything left. So we ended up having to put him back up high, moving Antoine back to right midfield. And so at the end there, you bring on fresh legs, and the thought is, Seba is equally as good at those opportunities. So wish we would have had a little more playing time to execute that.
John, that first half, in terms of numbers, possession-wise, passing accuracy, were some of the things that you were looking for. What was it that changed after halftime that made the difference and got those goals on the score sheet?
Well, I think in the end it's execution is the answer, but we pushed Gabe forward. into the midfield and essentially came out with 3 players in the back to start the second half. That allowed Michael to push up and inside, and I think that was early very hard for them to deal with. They tried to compensate by pushing guys to their right-hand side, which opened up our right-hand side and their left-hand side, and we got the matchup we wanted against Cruz and Gonzalez.
I guess you saw with Michael in the first half not being able to capitalize on a couple chances. How big is it moving forward for this team that someone like Danny is able to pounce on those chances and turn them into goals?
It's fantastic, and I think we gotta share that workload. We gotta get production from everybody. Today it was Danny Cruz, but I'm betting that Michael Farfan's going to have one of these days, and Keon Daniel's going to have one of these days, and Connor Casey's going to have one of these days. And when that happens, I think we're going to be able to compete with anybody in this league.
You mentioned Keon Daniel. As Michael Farfan gets further forward, Keon's sitting deeper and deeper next to, if not behind, Brian Carroll.
Yeah, it's still not. We got to get Keon to stay farther up the field. That's where the space was to play into, and Keon just wants the ball, so he's trying to come back and make the game. In particular, when we get down a goal early, on the restart, and it's not what we need him to do. We actually need him to vacate that space and push higher and find him in better spots forward.
So how short is his leash with a guy like Cleverson on the bench?
I mean, that's not a real concern for me right now because I believe in Keon Daniel. I think he has been one of our best players throughout the course of this season. I think he had a good game today. Jose is a great player too, but we'll evaluate it in training. I wouldn't say he's on a short leash.
One more question.
John, Zach made a point-blank save late first half. How big was that? Obviously keeping it.
It was huge. We had to keep it at only 1 goal. If we would have gone 2, it would have been probably insurmountable to come back in that point. So guys got to make plays at that point, and Zach certainly came up with a great save. Thank you.